Welcome. It's week 12 in the Barclays Premier League, and this is going to be my roundup of Saturday's games plus the one on Friday. But before I get to that, just a brief word. You may have noticed, if you follow my channel, that there was no video last week, in midweek that is, with regard to the UEFA Champions League match day 6. Two reasons. One, I was a little poorly, and two, I basically decided that that there was very little to report, and that was borne out by the results. If you didn't catch them, basically the 16 qualifiers for the knockout stage were 4 representatives from Germany, 4 from Spain, 3 from Italy, 3 from the UK, and then we had 2 one from Portugal and 1 from France. This really reflects the domination of the top 4 leagues, and rather, to some extent, minimises the value of the group stages, I find. And so basically, I'm not going to go through all the results, just to say that the 2 teams from Italy and the England that didn't make the last 16, well, they're worth noting. Inter Milan, they went out of their group, which was a bit of a shock, at the expense of Real Madrid and Borussia Mönchengladbach. And of course, Manchester United lost that crucial game in Leipzig by 3-2, which enabled Leipzig to qualify, and United now go into the Europa League. But it's really becoming a little pedestrian, I think, this competition, that the 4 selected teams chosen by the countries of the 4 top nations, Spain, Italy, Germany and England, they automatically get through, and it's becoming a little predictable. Although possibly fans from Paris Saint-Germain and Porto, who were the 2 exceptions this time, might actually see things differently. So that's my little noise about the Champions League and why there was no video. What will happen is, of course, that the top sides in all of the 8 groups will then have the advantage of playing second in the knockout. The other thing that's significant is that the teams that are in the pool of winners, the teams from the other countries must be avoided. So we can't have 2 teams from Germany playing each other, 2 from Spain, 2 from Italy, or 2 from the UK. Those fixtures must be avoided, which again sort of turns it into a little bit of a lottery, to be honest. Okay, so that's my say on Champions League and its absence in terms of videos Wednesday and Thursday. So to week 12 then. All got started on Friday night. The fixture between Leeds United and West Ham United played at Ellen Road. Team news: Ben Rama, was selected up front with Haller. Haven't seen him for some time. Lanzini and Noble, club captain, still on the bench. And Rodrigo was in for Leeds. Fernandes back on the bench. Cresswell, his 200th appearance for West Ham, which was quite a milestone. Anyway, we got going, and there's some early action within 2 minutes. Bamford put through. He managed to get one-on-one with Fabianski. He tried to go round him, but Fabianski clipped his heel. Down he went. Penalty awarded, cast iron penalty, and then Click stepped up, and his first effort was very poor and was saved. Unfortunately, Fabianski had moved off his line, so it was retaken, and Click this time performed much better and put Leeds 1 up. So 2 minutes, 1-0. Haller squandered a chance on 11 minutes near the penalty spot. It was quite a weak effort, And on 24 minutes, West Ham, who were coming more and more into the game, got their equaliser. Souček got his header, and this was far too strong for Meslier, and 1-1 to the Hammers, equaliser. On to 30 minutes, Benrahma had a shot at the edge of the box, just went wide, but at half time it was 1-1. Into the second half, a neat bit of work by Bamford, who spun and shot, but again inches wide. And Haller, 52 minutes, had a chance, but the defender managed to get in the way, and it went free. Then on 67 minutes, Benrahma again managed to guide a shot from distance, just inches wide. And then 79 minutes, the action crucial, and Ogbonna leaping high in the penalty area from a corner, a Creswell free kick, sorry, not a corner, Creswell free kick. His header was far too strong at hitting the net, and that was 2-1 for West Ham. West Ham looked like they just deserved it. We got to the final whistle, and West Ham, another win for Moyes, and they've now creeping up the table. I think they are currently 6th. So final score at Leeds, Ellen Road, was Leeds 1, West Ham 2. So the West Midlands derby was the first fixture on Saturday at Molineux. Wolves at home to Aston Villa. Team news. Bolly was dropped, put on the bench by Nuno Espirito Santo. Saiz filling in at the back. Silva, of course, replacing Jimenez, who's still recovering from that fractured skull. For Villa, Barkley still out with hamstring problems. Ramsey made his debut, and Traore was in for Trezeguet. It has to be said, I'm going to try and be a briefer on these highlights. My impressions in a goalless first half. Both sides are very good at passing the ball about. They're both committed to forward runs. I particularly was impressed by Neto and Podence for Wolves. And for Villa, once again, Grealish is really the orchestrator of most of their good moves. And there are a number of sort of half efforts, but to be honest, the keepers, Martinez and Fabricio, were hardly troubled by the time we got to the break. Goalless as it developed. Second half, and to be perfectly frank, not a lot changed. The keepers were brought into the action. Fabricio needed to be sharp to deal with a Watkins strike, and Silva on 68 minutes was put through, and his effort hit a post and luckily went away from goal off that post. But it was becoming a likely goalless draw as we went towards the conclusion. But the contest had been a bit of a fiery one. A lot of yellow cards by Mike Dean. And then, unfortunately, we got a red card for Douglas Luiz from Villa. That was for a second offence. And as we were approaching full time, we got a second red card for a second offence by Moutinho. Between those two red cards, though, we also got a goal. And it was on 94 minutes. Sorry, it was on 92 minutes. And it was as a result of a foul in the penalty box on McGinn. It looked a bit soft, but on the balance of penalty kicks recently in the Premier League, it was not surprising when VAR concluded that it was a foul. And El Ghazi, who'd come on as a substitute, he stepped up, and calmness personified, stroked the ball wide of Patricio, and that was the winner. Villa absolutely delighted, having gone to Molineux. Final score, Wolves 0, Aston Villa 1. Okay, the other three games then. I just saw brief highlights of these, very brief highlights. So let's get to it. The first, the Manchester Derby, played at Old Trafford. City, the visitors. And I have to say, the 4 minutes of highlights that I saw were hardly memorable. It was a pretty poor spectacle in front of a deserted stadium, and the lack of fans seemed to reflect the commitment on the part by both sets of players. There was very, very few goalmouth opportunities, and to be perfectly frank, it was a blessing when it was all over. The second half was worse than the first, where there was at least one piece of action when Rashford managed to get clipped, but the expected penalty was ruled out as he was slightly offside. Both managers seemed to be happy with a point. I wouldn't be. It was an abysmal effort. But anyway, the first Manchester derby of the season, instantly forgettable. Full-time score, Manchester United 0, Manchester City 0. So to St James Park then, Newcastle at home to West Brom. Ritchie was back for the Magpies. Linton and Wilson up front. No St Maximum, he was out injured. Almiron in from the start. For West Brom, Pereira serving that suspension for that red card last week. Robinson up front for them. An early action, and the opening salvo, Almiron latched onto a sweeping move from Wilson and from Linton, the final assist, to put the Magpies 1 up, and they thoroughly deserved that lead. Gallagher missed an opportunity to level up before the break, and he's been on the target the last couple of weeks, but went to the break with Newcastle 1 up. But 49 minutes, a tremendous effort by Furlong from an assist from Phillips's cross. He hit it on the volley as it sailed across the Newcastle box, and it went in the corner, well wide of Darlow, and that was 1-1. Into the latter stages now, and Bruce brought on Dwight Gale to bolster the attack, and he had an early effort on 70 minutes, which was cleared off the line, but they could do nothing about it on 87 minutes when his header hit the net after a great cross. We hadn't seen Gale for a while, he'd been injured, but he came up with the goods here and snatched that lead for Newcastle, and that was good enough. They hung on, and another win for Steve Bruce. Billage looked pretty despondent at full time. Another defeat for West Brom. They stay trapped down in that bottom three. Final score then, St James's Park, Newcastle 2, West Bromwich Albion 1. So the final match on Saturday, the late kickoff, evening kickoff, pitted Everton at home to Chelsea. This on paper looked like it was going to be a good game. Team news, Sigurdsson was in midfield for Everton. James pulled out with an injury. Holgate at right back and Godfrey at left back. Still no Coleman, of course. His long-term injury. Chelsea, Kovacic was in for Zidic, who's got a slight knock, and Thiago Silva alongside Zuma at the back, Rudiger on the bench, and Giroud retained up front once again. And it was a pretty even first 15 minutes. Then on 20 minutes, a long punt up through by Pickford. Lewin got his head on the challenge, and he followed it up, and he was going into the box when Mendy came up, out and clattered him and missed the ball completely. And the referee had no choice but to award a penalty. A very poor piece of judgment by the Chelsea keeper. And Sigurdsson stepped up and converted with aplomb, and it was 1-0 to the Toffees. 24 minutes, James, who's looking increasingly a talent on that right front, hit a peach of a shot, just inches wide, and another one saved by Pickford, and those two shots came on 24 and 25 minutes. One hit an edge of the post and went away. James, a name to recall, I think. Anyway, we got to the half-time interval, and Everton was still a goal up. Didn't see much of the second half, but Chelsea didn't seem to have their shooting boots on. They seemed a little bit lacking in that extra interest and excitement. Possibly the Champions League has affected them. Mount did hit a post from a free kick, and we basically got to full time. 7 minutes from time, Giroud had a half chance, but it went over. And so full time arrived. The Toffees, on the way back, it would seem, after a couple of wins, they took this game by a goal.